Hello fellas, we're here again. De.ci.pher, last one of 2012. I think this one's going to be quite an interesting one. What we're looking at today. Programmed by Derron Brown, popular guy really. He's popular in England anyway. Not sure how popular he is in America, but we're here today to discuss it. Roger, Reverend Ian, myself. We hope people watching it will get some stuff from this, get some details from the program. Derron Brown's an illusionist. He doesn't class himself as a magician, classes himself as a skeptic. He made a program the other day asking a question: is God a placebo? Interesting question. Is God a placebo? Is he a crutch? Is it something we've just created to, I don't know, feel better or to be able to live this life? Now I know we've seen most of it or parts of it and thinking, all right then, let me get some insight. So I just want to open up with your initial thoughts about the program, really. I've got my own and I could talk about this all day long because I think it's great. He highlights some amazing things. A lot of it pointing towards really what it means, for me anyway, to be a true believer or false believer or unbeliever when it comes to Christianity. I think I need to make it clear, specifically we're looking at Christianity, because he just said God as a broad spectrum, but we're talking about Christianity.
Okay.
And his images for me were alluding to Christianity, the ones he used anyway. So, what's your initial responses about this program? What did you get from it? What jumped out? Who wants to go first?
You go first.
Well, as somebody who's not seen a lot of Derron Brown, and I've seen excerpts of the program, what struck me was the way that he honed in on people's basic needs. So that I think it targets a group of people anyway who had particular needs, desires, and so he was connecting or constructing a God who was simply there to meet certain needs and desires. Yeah. It's a consumerism, not a faith.
Okay. So wasn't very convincing for you then?
It was convincing in as much as he was able to enable people to get some kind of short-term satisfaction from what he was constructing, that they actually felt that the needs were being met.
Okay, cool. I was going to ask you something, but I'd get initial response from Raja. What do you think?
I think it's and hopefully people don't take this the wrong way. I think it's brilliant, the program, in terms of it enables me to it challenges what you stand for. And I think that sometimes as Christians we run away from challenge, and and I think that it's good for things to be put out there in not so much public domain. I think that's a bit harsh, but sometimes it needs to be done this way. That actually we're able to talk like this. I mean, we're able to talk about, okay, right, it takes for somebody outside to point out what we say inside, and what we're going to go into. So for me, it's an excellent program in terms of it forces debate, it forces us to actually fight for our faith, find our faith, We have it too easy sometimes, and I think that people don't challenge us for our faith and whatever. So that is challenging my faith. I don't know about you guys, but it challenges me to now, okay, right, I'm not going to get asked that question if I go to somebody in the street, and what the elements he's brought up is so technical that I have to go back into my word. I have to know my faith before I go out there thinking I'm special. So I think it's good in that respect.
It's good as a challenge.
As a challenge, that's how I see it as.
I think what struck me as a pastor, as a priest, that many in our congregation who we are going to be encountering are vulnerable, they're broken, as we all are. And we as pastors and priests actually can exercise a lot of power, and it brings home to me how much of what I'm doing is really, am I showing them Christ? Or is it something in myself? I want to be popular. Is having power over people. They're all, for me, are very much part and parcel of the spiritual warfare that is going on, and how the enemy can use you and get in to actually both undermine and promote a false gospel.
Yeah.
So as I saw Derron Brown and what he was doing, in a night, to what Jesus is saying about beware of the wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah,
Here is somebody very friendly. He taps into where people's needs are. Comes across as very genuine, and I hope we do as well. But actually, what are we putting across? Is it something that we want to see in people which will enable our churches to grow, give us a sense of kudos and power, look at me? Or is it the full gospel, which, let's face it, at the heart of it, Jesus says, if you want to be a follower of mine, you're going to have to take up your cross and follow me.
Yeah, you're asking some... it's quite a few questions what he's saying. Yeah. I think looking at what he was doing, and what a question I threw out there is, he was presenting an image of this is what it means to follow God, believe in God. He was presenting his own image.
Yeah.
Do you think what he was showing is an authentic representation of Christianity? Do you think what he was showing there actually is Christianity, or do you think that's a popular notion of Christianity? Because obviously the girl in the program had an experience.
In a church.
There was no real link
Yeah.
that's tied to a specific name, God or religion. But would you think what he was showing there is authentic, or do you think he's showing what is popularly regarded as Christianity? That's my question.
It's very... It sort of connects with this thing about the individual today, me, myself and I.
Yeah.
Let's face it, if that was religion and our understanding of God and revelation of God, there wouldn't have been the persecutions in Rome. Because, let's face it, Christianity was always seen as a threat to the status quo.
Yeah, true.
And it still is. That's why our brothers and sisters are still in prison.
Yeah, in many countries.
In many countries.
Yeah.
So in that sense, what it highlights is perhaps people's popular understanding about faith and about God, which is far from the real deal.
Do you think it taps into this whole health, wealth, and prosperity gospel? What he was showing there, because that, regarding Christianity, it's the most popular version. It's the most popular slant on Christianity that's out there today. Do you think what he was showing there is closer to that, or can we make it? Because people in the world say it's all the same. You're all Christians.
Yeah.
Jesus is all the same. You can't separate it. They don't know there's a difference like we would. Obviously, being insiders looking out.
Yeah.
But the mainstream watching the program would think, see, that's why I don't believe, because you're all the same and you're all being duped, brainwashed.
Yeah.
So, can we make some differences between what happened there and what we see as Christianity? Or
Obviously, the key difference is obviously Jesus Christ, but I find that that the way he brought across the message is very. I've been in church all my life, what techniques that he's using there, I've seen used, and so there is a correlation to what we do in church, and I say church as the institution, not true Christianity. True Christianity treats our faith in a total different manner. People follow you because Christ has been lifted up in their life, not because you've found out their weaknesses and you're gonna supply. You're pulling out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So he's pulled out. You could say the easy way to bring people to Christianity, which is pick on their weaknesses, fulfill that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not saying we shouldn't give to the poor. I'm not saying we shouldn't look after our brethren
or address people's needs. Yeah.
But what we do is attach that to getting saved. You know what I'm saying? So I will feed somebody who's homeless, expecting to come and to get more, get saved. No. You know what I'm saying? So that we do that because we find people's weaknesses. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't. Again, I keep on saying we shouldn't shy away from talking about weaknesses and helping people through them. But we sometimes use that as a blackmailing tool to say, oh, this is the way now. Bam.
Okay. So you think it's kind of used as a thing to coax people into church in terms of we might address a need,
Yeah.
but there's an ulterior motive. Like, okay, we're feeding you. In some respects, I suppose there is a motive of you do want the person to get saved.
Yeah.
If we're honest, we all want that.
Yeah.
And we could go into the notion about what it means to be saved as well, because I mean, not everybody's going to have understanding of what that means. But I think for me, is there an over-reliance on certain techniques? And that's what he highlighted for me, was his whole technique and his power of suggestion. And me as a minister who preaches, teaches, talks to people about God, how much of that are we using? How much of that psychology actually infiltrates our own expression of the gospel and bringing people to faith and things like that? And for me, that was a major challenge. I mean, when you watched it, did you see parts and think, okay, I've seen that, or done that, or did any of that kind of jump out for you, or?
Well, yeah, yes, and I'm not going to. And I don't want to
Last week.
Last Sunday.
Indeed. But I know, I think of Paul in Athens when he said, I will become all kinds of things, but in order to win people for Christ. So what Paul is saying, all things, he's actually saying, I will use different techniques with different groups and contexts in order to win people for Christ. So some of the techniques that Derron uses, we do use ourselves, and I would find that in a particular context as a pastor, I go in, you pray the situation, you probably find out quite a bit about background information about a congregation, where it is, issues that affect the community, and that will inform your preaching. But the bottom line for us, the strap line is Christ, and in what way so I wish to see Jesus. In what way are we enabling Christ to come through us, his word to come through us, which is authentic and faithful and true?